Hackers are constantly trying to break into your computer network to access your data and to hold it hostage. What if I told you that there's one thing you can do that would actually make a bigger impact than any other step? In fact, if you're not doing anything to protect your computers against cyber threats, this is where you need to start. I'm Brian Longworth, host of A Faster PC Live Technical Support. And coming up next, I will show you the one technique you can use that can prevent up to 91% of all cyber threats. If you are out there, maybe you have a business or a medical office, dental office, maybe you have a nonprofit or a professional office, maybe an accountant's office or an attorney's office, or you're a government entity, or maybe just even a private citizen. Maybe you just have a home office, or you're just a private computer user. What is the number one thing you can do to prevent cyber threats on your computer? Now, we talk about updating your computer, and that's important. We talk about having cybersecurity, and that's important. We talk about proper configuration, having least privileges, having privileged access management installed. A lot of different acronyms that we talk about: EDR, MDR, zero trust. All of these are important. But the number one most important thing you can do is actually training. And this is because, listen to this, guess what percentage of all threats that are out there actually come in through someone letting the bad guys in. You can imagine, having a house and you have locks and you have a security system and you have cameras and all of this, but a thief knocks on the door and the person that's there opens the door and lets the bad guys in. Well, people don't purposely let hackers into their computers, but we do see it on a regular basis. In fact, every single week we have people coming into our shop, people coming in, individuals. We see this from businesses, we see this from medical offices, dental offices, where they have actually clicked on a link that they shouldn't click on. They've opened an attachment that they shouldn't open. They have actually called a number that they shouldn't have called. They let the person talk them into going to a website, opening up a file and letting them into their computer. Some people do this without even realizing what they're doing, or that they're actually talking to a scammer. So how do you prevent this? Well, again, the number one way is with training. And we have, and we can offer cyber awareness training. It's very affordable, doesn't cost very much money at all. And we can offer this for anyone from a business all the way down to just a private individual. We can offer this service for you. So this is, again, cyber awareness training. So what this does is you have an annual training, and the annual training actually is very, very well done. It is scripted. There are actors. There's a plot. It's interesting. It's actually done in small segments, so if you and the whole thing lasts about 30 minutes. But if you want to watch it in smaller segments, you can watch it in smaller segments. But at the end, there's a quiz also. So if you can watch the whole thing at one sitting, it's better to do that. So that way you'll be sharp and ready to answer those questions. Once you do go in and you answer those questions, you have a score. And your score, the lowest score you can get is 300. And you're either going to start out at 300 or at 350. The highest you can get is 800. As you participate and watch the videos and take the quizzes and hopefully answer the questions correctly. And by the way, if you don't answer them correctly, you do have the chance of watching the video again and retaking the quiz, so that hopefully you can get a better score. and improve your cyber awareness knowledge. And there's also weekly trainings that are much shorter. They're about 5 minutes, and they'll cover a specific topic, and they'll talk about that topic and train you and provide additional training. And one of the keys to this is when you log into this, you can see your score, but you can also see all the other scores in your company. So let's say you have a company, you have a medical practice, you have a dental practice, you have a professional office or whatever. Maybe you're even a private citizen, but this is really important, really helpful if you have a business. And let's say Johnny has a higher score than you have. Well, if you're competitive, you're going to want to get a higher score than Johnny has. So that's going to really encourage you to actually watch the videos. And the videos, it's not just about getting a higher score, it's about learning. Again, 91% of all threats happen after someone lets the bad guys in. So you can do more to protect your computer network, your computer data by providing cyber awareness training. This, by the way, is also a core requirement. If you are part of any type of regulation, maybe it's the FTC guidelines. If you're subject to the FTC guidelines, by the way, there are a lot of companies and businesses that are subject to the FTC guideline. Any business that offers financing, even if it's a third-party agency that's offering that financing, if they fill out the application, if you direct them to do that, maybe you allow your patients to take care credit, or you have where someone can pay 90 days on something or 6 months, same as cash or something like that. Well, if you have that type of a service, you're subject to the FTC guidelines. All financial institutions, which not only includes banks, but also includes anyone that does anything with financing, as I just described. Also in addition to that, you're looking at other types of institutions as well. If you are a real estate appraiser, you are subject to the FTC guidelines. So there are a lot of different organizations that are subject to the auto dealerships. They all have financing, and they're subject to the FTC guidelines, and they're difficult to actually comply with. But the number one thing, the core component to that, is training. And if you're involved in HIPAA, training is a big part of that. If you're a medical office or a dental office, you're subject to HIPAA. That's a big part of that. If you have cyber liability insurance, that's a big part of that as well. And so this is a core requirement. In fact, one of the things with cyber liability insurance, this is kind of a dirty secret of the insurance companies. They will sign you up for cyber liability insurance. And when you sign up, typically you're agreeing to do certain things. And if you don't do those things, guess what? If you have a cyber event, you not only have to have been doing those things, you also have to document that you have done those things. And they can come in and they can say, well, you know what? You were supposed to have cyber awareness training. Show us that you had cyber awareness training. And this isn't just, getting people together and saying, hey, listen, you need to not click on this link. You need, this is actually, you need to actually document the cyber awareness training that you have provided. So with this service, you actually get cyber awareness training. And again, that score goes up. You look at your score. You can compare your score to other people. And if you're a competitive person, a lot of people are, you actually will want your score to be higher than let's say it's Bob out there, and Sally has a higher score, and so Bob wants to get a higher score than Sally. And so they're competing with each other, trying to actually improve their score. And in the process of this, you're helping to safeguard your company. You're helping to safeguard your computer network, your computer data from cyber threats. Again, 91% of all threats are because someone lets a hacker in. Someone lets the bad guy in. You don't want to be that person that lets the bad guy in. Quite often when this happens, people are scared that it happened. They don't want to even tell people that it happened because that could get them in trouble. But then really what happens at that point is you're giving the bad guys more time to get in there. Also, one of the things that most organizations have to do is have various policies in place. For instance, one of the things that you need to have a written information security plan. Most organizations, by the way, anyone that's filing taxes is subject to the FTC guidelines also, as well as the IRS guidelines. Any accountant office is subject to this. And so it's very important to actually have these policies in place. How do you get a written information security policy and have your employees signed off that they have acknowledged these policies as well? Well, it's important to actually go over these policies, have these policies. So this service actually has templates for these policies, and you can actually just go in and read those templates, see if there's any changes that you need to make to accommodate it to your specific situation. Of course, you make those changes, and then you get that ready and you publish it, and then you ask your employees to sign off that they acknowledge that they have read that policy and that they comply with it. And this, again, provides you that documentation that you have provided the cyber awareness training, that you also have these policies, and that you have actually required your employees to read these policies and acknowledge these policies, so that if there is a threat, first of all, hopefully your employees will be smart enough to avoid this letting a bad guy in. But if they do actually accidentally let a bad guy in, well, you have the documentation to back up that you've done what you're supposed to do. Cybersecurity problems? You need a faster PC.